What do you think of when you hear New Orleans?
Bourbon Street,
Po' boy sandwiches,
Mardi Gras,
Katrina,
hurricane drinks,
the New Orleans Saints.
maybe a little bit of voodoo.
So basically, what you heard there was partying, voodoo, alcoholism, food, Hurricane Katrina, and sports. I'm going to ignore that last one. Of course you do, because that's what the tourist trade tells you to think about. And to be perfectly honest, it's not that wrong. But there are a lot more layers to New Orleans, and some stuff that generally goes overlooked, or at the very least isn't quite as exaggerated as the media tells you is. I know, I've been there myself. That's where I got this shirt. And this hat. Although it has seen better days. Oh, and in case you were wondering what I think about New Orleans, it's more like food, alcohol, food, Katrina, and food, and voodoo, and also food. I love food. Seriously, if you want to know how I feel about food, just watch Ratatouille. That'll pretty much tell you everything. Anyway, about dispelling some of the common myths about New Orleans. First of all, there's Hurricane Katrina. Now, the reason people keep talking about Katrina is not because the whole city was destroyed by Hurricane Katrina. It wasn't, okay? It's not the whole city, but the parts that were destroyed. Damn. When I was in New Orleans, I actually took a tour bus at one point, and part of the tour actually took us through the suburbs that were completely obliterated. Do you know how scary it is to go somewhere and not see any sign of life? I'm serious. I didn't even hear bugs. So yeah, even though it wasn't the whole city, it really sticks with you. Next is Bourbon Street and Mardi Gras. Now, a lot of people, tourists in particular, have this perception that New Orleans is kind of like Mardi Gras all year round. It's not. If it was, I would have some beads to show for it. I would have gone out of my way to get some. Another tourist perception is that Bourbon Street is the place to go if you want to have fun. Ha 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 ha! Let me give you my experience with Bourbon Street. It's the smell. And it's not all bad smells, which actually makes the parts that do smell bad even worse. What a delicious smelling restaurant. 2 steps later. I smell someone's vomit. And now I think I'm gonna vomit. So yeah, I was not a fan. But you go like 1 street up or down from Bourbon Street, dude, it's like a whole other place that still kind of looks the same. The restaurants tend to be nicer, not to mention the food tends to be better, and there's all kinds of interesting things to look at. I did not expect to see a nice art gallery in New Orleans. And there was even a thrift shop there that really caught my attention. Some old books, then there was some very nice statues, and one of them even had a sword cane, which of course I did not buy, despite how much I wanted to. How about thee? Nah, I'm just messing with you. I'm more a katana guy. So yeah, if you want to have a good time in New Orleans, stay away from Bourbon Street. Unless you're looking for a strip club, because in that case you're pretty much set. Finally, we're going to talk a little bit about voodoo.
I got voodoo, I got hoodoo, I got things I ain't even tried. And I got friends on the other side.
God, I love that song. So of course, voodoo is pretty prevalent in New Orleans. It's the main place for the religion in popular culture. You know, aside from going to Africa, which isn't always accurate. Now, going to New Orleans, you won't find voodoo all over the place. But if you're looking, it won't be hard to find. I myself made a stop at the Voodoo Museum, which is kind of small to be perfectly honest. But then again, most of the places in New Orleans are. Kind of like New York, how everything is tiny and yet it's still really, really expensive. Voodoo, however, is not as easily understood or portrayed as it has been in pop culture. For example, the concept of the voodoo doll. Of course, the way that everybody knows it is that you stab a needle and, the person either gets bad luck or suffers physical pain. And although there is a needle that you use to, condemn someone, there are a few other types as well. For example, if you use a yellow needle, supposedly that person is going to feel revitalized. And if you use a green needle, supposedly they'll be doing better financially. Gee, whoever thought that Hollywood could have gotten things wrong? That never happens. But enough of cheap jokes. But that's mostly what I have to say on the matter. That voodoo's much more complicated than you think. And those are just some of my own experiences that have, flied in the face of some of the stereotypes of New Orleans. It was still a very fun and interesting place to go to, and that's why I'll be heading back whenever I get the chance. And I guess that's all I have to say on the matter. I hope this does well and gets me a good grade.
The end.